The 3950 Disc Harrow from Case IH has the weight and strength to provide excellent field preparation. Here are some setup and operation tips to make sure you get maximum performance from your harrow. One of the most overlooked adjustments is actually one of the keys to getting the most from your disc harrow. Leveling the hitch establishes the correct line of draft from the tractor to the harrow. First, make sure that the harrow gangs and wheels are sitting on a hard, level surface. The spring cushion crank must be pinned at the center hole in the hitch bracket, and the crank must be centered. Because the crank has a full range of 8 turns, this is accomplished by turning it 4 full rotations from either direction. Once the crank is centered, adjust the turnbuckle until the tongue matches the drawbar height. The crank's purpose is, of course, to set the harrow angle. Turning the crank clockwise will tilt the rear of the harrow down. Turning it counterclockwise tilts the front down. The crank can be placed in one of 3 holes in the wheel axle bracket. The top hole will tilt the harrow forward to correct ridging at the rear center, and can also be used to compensate for the addition of a mulcher attachment. The center hole is the normal position and will perform well under most conditions. The bottom hole will tilt the rear of the harrow to correct furrowing at the rear center. Moving the crank to the desired position is simple. Remove the depth control pin from the gauge bars on each set of wheels and lower the harrow. Use the tractor hydraulics to move the axle up or down until the pin is loose in the hole and can be removed. Using the tractor hydraulics again, move the axle to the new position. The crank can be used to fine-tune hole alignment. To get the crank into the bottom hole, it may be necessary to place blocks under the front gangs. The harrow lift is a master-slave system with the slave cylinders on the wing wheels. On most tractors, the final burst of hydraulic pressure that returns the hydraulic valve to neutral is usually enough to rephase the wheel cylinders. However, if you detect wing droop, or if the wing digs in excessively, hold the tractor hydraulic valve lever on pressure for a few seconds to rephase the wing wheel cylinders. This step can be repeated as necessary. Another important note about hookup to your tractor: remember to do it safely. Taking a few extra moments to properly pin and safety chain your harrow is time well spent, especially if you're traveling on public roads. If your tractor is equipped with a 3-point hitch, it must be in the raised position. Rigid frame tractors require the swinging drawbar to be fastened in the center. If your tractor has an articulated frame or is a track vehicle, the swinging drawbar should be permitted to swing a couple of inches in either direction while working, but fastened in the center for transport. As you fasten the safety chain, remember to use the drawbar clevis to keep the chain above the ground. Make sure that your safety pin is up to the job too. A 1 1/2 inch pin is required for a clevis type tongue, and a 2-inch pin is needed for a coupler type tongue. To transport, raise and fold the harrow, then install the main frame wheel and wing lock pins in the transport position. Never pull your harrow with anything lighter than the harrow itself. It's just too tough to maintain stability, especially at the speeds you reach on public roads. Before you begin transport, check to make sure that your SMV signage is legible. Check your safety lighting too. Only after a thorough check should you travel over the road. The wheels are used to control the working depth of the harrow. If the pin is in the storage position, the harrow will operate at the maximum depth permitted by ground conditions and speed. Adjusting the gauge bar pins allows you to work at a consistent depth above this maximum. Use the wheels to determine the depth that you want. Then install the pins at the hole nearest the stop bracket. The pins must also be installed on the same hole on the main frame, and to the same holes on the left and right side of the wings. Each hole changes the depth about 1/2 inch. If the wing frame is not level with the main frame in the fully raised position, the wing wheels can be adjusted. Before making this adjustment, be sure that the cylinders are refased. Then, with the harrow lowered, loosen the cylinder head anchor bolts, insert the desired number of spacers, and retighten. The anchor bolt should be checked periodically to prevent losing spacers and misalignment of the cylinder. The scraper should lightly contact the disc blade from the toe to heel. In certain soil conditions, you may desire tighter blade contact. To adjust, loosen the scraper assembly and move each scraper back in the slot, then tighten. Move the entire assembly toward the disc blades, then retighten. Adjust individual scrapers as required. If you adjust the scrapers, be sure that they are not in contact with the spools between the disc blades. A cut spool could cause the gang assembly to come loose and cause severe damage. Here are a few keys to greater operating efficiency. The Harrow operates most effectively at 4 to 6 miles per hour. At the top end speed, the mixture of soil and crop debris increases, as does the possibility of ridging. If you desire to leave a large amount of residue on the surface, operate the Harrow only deep enough to cut the trash, and keep ground speed low so that the soil is left largely undisturbed. Where crop residues are heavy, the Harrow will cut through it more easily at an angle to the rows. Excessively sharp turns can cause ridging or humping of soil, and can cause damage to the disc blades, arbor bolt spools, or the arbor bolt. If you need to make a turn of greater than 45 degrees, you should lift the Harrow and lower it once you've made the turn. Remember, too, that the Harrow hitch must be adjusted to the tractor drawbar height. The Harrow frame must be level to the ground, and for best performance, operate only deep enough to perform the tillage you desire. Preventive maintenance is more than adequately discussed in your operator's manual, but a few items deserve special attention. Disc blades are vital to Harrow performance. Keeping them clean and rust-free will extend their efficiency and lifespan. And even though our earth metal blades are more breakage resistant than others, it's still a good idea to wear off the extreme sharpness of new blades in loose or rock-free soil. Blunted blades are far less likely to break. If you've taken delivery of a new Harrow, bolt tightness should be checked regularly during the first hours of use. Wheel bolt torque, 80 to 100 foot-pounds, should be checked after the first 50 hours and periodically thereafter. The arbor bolt should be checked frequently until 800 foot-pounds of torque no longer turns the nut, then periodically after that. Check all frame bolts after the first day of use, then on an occasional basis. If you have any questions about specific torque requirements, refer to the chart in your operator's manual. If you must store your disc Harrow outside, take extra precautions to prevent rust. Make sure that your Harrow is clean, all bare metal surfaces are well greased, potential rust spots are painted, blades coated with till coat, and all bolts retorqued before storing. Your 3950 Disc Harrow is engineered to provide years of service. Following the proper operating, adjustment, and maintenance procedures will ensure maximum performance in a wide variety of conditions.